Alright, what you see here is a Hampton Bay Littleton ceiling fan. I got this fan brand new in a box off of eBay, and I've been wanting to find one of these that's complete for quite some time now, since I do have an SMC version of this. But as you can tell, looking at the motor, it's actually not an SMC one. This one's actually made by Aircool, which is actually even a better one compared to the SMC one. Both the black motored ones and the ones that look just like this, except it has an SMC motor instead. The motor in this fan's pretty large for a $15, $20 fan, to be honest. Performance on this is actually pretty good. It has the Hampton Bay logo on the switch housing, and it's painted on it. It's not just a sticker, as you can see. The easiest way to tell if it's an air-cooled motor if it has these vents on the bottom. The SMC ones don't have those type of vents on the bottom, so that's an easiest way to tell. Also, if it has the bolt mounting, like the 4 bolts, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, instead of the square thingy that the SMC uses. That's another way you can tell if it's an air-cooled version. The blade arms and such are possibly the same quality, but from what I remember with the other SMC one that I have that looks identical to this, the blade arms were felt more flimsy than this one. Now, aside from that, the metal parts on this fan aren't really that cheap for being an economy model. It's nowhere near as being cheap like today's version of the Littleton. This one is actually about the same as, like, not gonna lie, some of the metal parts on this are almost as on par with Hunter's parts, like the low profile, like the 42-inch models they do and such. But yeah, this is a fan I've been wanting to get for a very long time, the air-cooled version, because the one at my local Home Depot is the air-cooled version, and that's the one that's been up since I was a kid, and it's the only one that's still installed on the display since I was a kid. So for that reason, this version of the Littleton is my favorite. I didn't realize it was a different Littleton compared to the ones I'd always see as a kid in the catalogs until like 2006, when they showed an older version of the Littleton. I realized that the one that was on the display was an older version. It wasn't until then I noticed that it had the logo on it. But yeah. I remember seeing, there was a YouTuber, I forget his name, but he had like a few of them, and then he placed one with some Litex outdoor fan that he found out in the trash, I think. But that was the first time that I saw a video of them. Then I saw the one that Russian Fazbear had in his bathroom. And then I was telling myself I really need to find one of these. And the fact that I found one brand new is even better. And it has these metal Hampton Bay poles. I shut off the lights around me to give it a testing on how it lights up the space. Oops, wrong one. I gotta say, it actually lights up the space pretty decently. It definitely looks pretty good with the light on. Now to start off on the low speed. I'm actually feeling a decent breeze from it over here on the low speed, surprisingly. And I'm saying surprisingly not because, oh, it's a Littleton, because it is actually a pretty well-made fan, considering it's a Littleton. I'm saying that because it's about good 80 to 90 degrees here today. And I could have picked a different fan to test down here, but I've really been wanting to test this one for a while. And also I figure if it's hotter out, I can really get an idea of how well it performs and such. but it's very quiet. That's something I'm really happy about. It's not humming, it's not making any motor noise, vibrations, nothing. It's completely silent. But yeah, the motor in this one's like about the same size as like those spinner motor Hunter fans, the 42-inch ones. From like the low profiled ones or such, or the Coastal Breeze ones. Not exactly the same size, but it's pretty close to it. I'm not sure if this version was $15, but I know like the one that came afterwards, like the air coolish type SMC ones, and then like the ones that you'd see for 2000s, those are like $15. Then they went up little by little over the years. This one might have been $20 to $15. I'm not too sure, but if that's the case, for that price, this fan is definitely back now. Like for that price, that's definitely a really good bargain on a fan of this quality. No, at the same time, $30 is about the same value of like $15 back then almost. So it's not really. I mean, still $30 for this new, even if it was still today. For the build on it, it's not like nearly as flimsy as the ones from today's era. It's not even humming. It's not vibrating at all. The motor. I don't feel like any vibration from this fan at all. It's literally quiet. I know there's like a version of this one where I'm not sure if it was an air cool version or a SMC one, but where it didn't have the metal poles, it actually had a plastic poles on it. But I'm just not sure which. I know that came out like before this one, before they changed the box design to the one that this one came with. So it's kind of strange. Hampton Bay did a lot of weird things with the Littleton over the years. I mean, nowadays I don't even think they're made by SMC. They're made by some like random company that nobody really knows about. But I really dislike how this one, it doesn't look like some economy unbranded fan. It actually has like the logo on it and such, unlike the ones from the 2000s. It makes it look less like a cheap fan. It makes it look more like something decent at least. And the fan actually is decent. It's quiet, it's moving good air on the low speed. It's a nice refreshing breeze underneath it. Alright, now for medium. It's moving some pretty good air on medium, honestly. And the blade arms are a bit out of clock. I'm not sure why. I mean, the blade arms might be a bit flimsy. Like, I mean, the fan is definitely a lot better made than like the regular Littletons you see today. But despite that, the blade arms, despite them not being as flimsy, they definitely aren't the highest quality metal. Obviously, I mean, it's still a budget fan, but it's definitely 10 times better than the Littleton from today, without a question. This is at least a decent fan, like something that's like worth $50 almost, at least. Quality-wise, I mean. Even on a medium speed, it's quiet. It's not humming. And that's why I prefer the Hugger fans like this that have those bolt mounting options, not the ones where you just hold it with the two screws on one side and one screw on the other, because those ones I notice tend to hum a lot more, whereas these ones are usually dead silent for the most part. So it does depend on the fan as well. But this one's not humming at all. It's not making any noise. It's just making the wind noise. Might be on par with the Minka Aire Mesa or Hunter low profile, honestly. And I am being dead serious, honestly. I know I've heard that these are good, but I never expected to know how good they are. But the fact that I'm feeling this much air from it on medium, I'm honestly very surprised. One thing that a lot of people tend to not notice is that Hampton Bay's fans from the late 90s, they actually had some decent ones at that time period, especially the ones that were made by Air Cool. A lot of people just tend to overlook it. Oh, cheap home center fan. Yeah, the cheaper fans, but they definitely had some pretty good fans for being a home center fan back in that time period. Like the Air Cool version of the Air Carriage House, Hampton Bay Cameron 2s, some other, like the Windward 2, Glossmer Wind ones. Like they had some pretty decent models. Just a lot of people tend to just overlook it. Go, oh, it's home center stuff. And at the same time, people do need to realize it's something from a home center, so obviously it's not going to be as the same quality as like a showroom fan, but it's for people who can't afford showroom stuff, and I definitely would fall in that category, especially with today's prices. And as a lot of you already know, I'm more of a person that likes to experience fans of all qualities, not just show. Sorry about it, the video just ran out of space on my phone. Well, the phone ran out of space, but yeah. So let me go ahead and move it up to the high speed. And it's not wobbling at all in high speed, at least. I'm actually really appalled right now. This thing is really moving a lot of air. It's really almost moving about the same air as the low profile or the Minka Aire Mesa I had down here. Like, I mean, it's not the greatest air mover still, because it is just more of a budget type 42-inch fan, but it's not like horrible, especially for a home center. For what this fan is, basically like a budget model, it's a very good performer, honestly. And it definitely does outperform the SMC one with the black motor that I had. That's one of the few previous generation versions of this before they switched over to this version. As there were a few versions of the black motor. There's the SMC one that I had got. Then there was a few other ones after that, and then they came out with this one. Hey, this thing's dead silent, honestly. Like, it's not humming at all. Honestly, like, I feel like if the Littletons today were this quality, like, I would actually recommend them for diesel fans, but, like, I'm really surprised. It's actually making the basement a lot cooler, and it's actually pretty hot today. Like, I'm feeling air way back here. In fact, let me go to the entrance. Like, yeah, this is really, like, at least 142-inch air movement, in all honesty. Let me go to the entrance. I'm feeling a breeze from it all the way over here, too. In fact, this thing could actually move even more into Minka Aire Mesa, to be honest with you. In fact, this might even move more than a 42-inch low profile. You know, the 90s type, not the 80s R&M ones. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with this fan. Very, very impressed. Like, this honestly moves more air than the majority of the 42-inch fans I've tested. Honestly, it's nowhere near Minka Aire movement, but it definitely does outperform some of the 42-inch Hunter fans I've tested without a question. And I do mean some of the older ones. Like, I could say it's probably, like, in terms of 42-inch, 44-inch Hunter fans, it's almost as powerful as a Beacon Hill, and I am not exaggerating on that. It actually is pushing a very good breeze underneath it. The only thing that obviously that is giving it an advantage though with this installation is that there is more clearance above the blades down here, so that could be the other reason why I'm feeling a much stronger breeze from it. But like if it was on sort of a regular ceiling, it probably wouldn't move as much air. But if it's moving just this much without it, just with a little bit of clearance above it, I'm honestly really impressed with it. Like it's moving even some of like the pieces of paper are out in the hallway in this basement. Man, I did not expect it to be this powerful. I'm really blown away. I am really amazed by this performance. I did not expect it to perform this well. I thought it would perform decently, but this really exceeded my expectations. And some people might be, oh, you have low expectations, you like cheaper fans. I admit when something's cheap, but I will still at least admit that, oh, it still moves decent air for what it is. But this thing really pushes a good amount of air for what it is. It's not like K55 air moving without any question, but it definitely is, at least if like, it almost does move about the same amount of air as like something from like a 42-inch Hunter fan, in all honesty. So it is, I gotta say, it definitely, I can definitely say it does push about the same air movement as a 42-inch Hugger fan from like a showroom brand. I'm only saying that because the only other fan I've tested that's similar to that is like the Minka Aire Mesa. And that moves good air too, so the fact that this is almost on par with that, I'm really impressed. Well, I would have to test this side by side because I definitely do feel it moves more air than the Minka Aire Mesa, but I'd have to put them both side by side. But the breeze underneath, I definitely felt was a lot stronger than the Minka Aire Mesa, to be honest. And the Minka Aire Mesa does push a good breeze, but this one definitely, I feel a stronger breeze underneath it, without a question. But sometimes the wave pitch can help it disperse the air a lot more. But yeah, this thing really cranks out a good amount of air for its size, and for it being like a very economy model from Home Depot back then and even today, I mean, this version is definitely, I wouldn't consider this an economy model based on the air movement, but I mean, it still is based on an economy model. But like I always tell people, like, the economy stuff from back then is definitely not the same quality as economy stuff as today. This stuff from back then was actually decently made, and it's definitely lived up to that testament. And here it is on no reverse. Like honestly, like if this is something I would actually consider installing somewhere, and not because it's childhood, because it actually does push a good amount of air. Like this is definitely something I would definitely consider putting this in a laundry room or something. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely say without a question, this moves more air than a 42-inch low profile from the 90s. Definitely moves a lot more air than that. Probably more than Minka Aire as well. So it's literally about on par with those two, and those are both showroom brands anyways. So the fact that you can get something that's as powerful as something like those for like $15 to $20 back then, that's really show like how the quality standards have dropped since like something in economy back then. It's almost the same as like a showroom type thing as nowadays. Or even back then, because I mean, the low profile was being sold to them too. I gotta say, without a question, this is definitely one of my favorite scores of the year. One, because it's a major childhood fan, but two, just because of how powerful it is. And it was, I did not expect it to be this powerful, to be honest. And the fact that I'm testing it on a day that's nearly 100 degrees and I'm still feeling very refreshed from it, that definitely says something right there. I really figured it would be better to test it with it being really hot. That way I can really tell if it's actually a good air mover, despite it being really hot and somewhat humid. Yeah, even on reverse, I'm feeling actually a good breeze coming over here. I'm really amazed with this fan. That's all I gotta say. I'm really, really amazed at the performance on this thing. I never expected it to be as powerful as this. It's definitely like if they were still the same quality as this today, I definitely would recommend them if someone just needs something to do the job. And this definitely, in my opinion, does more than just does the job. Like it definitely does more than that, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's not stack motor air movement and such, but definitely outperforms a lot of the spinner motor ones from showrooms that I've tested, or even 52-inch ones. It's like there's some like showroom or even 52-inch fans I've tested that don't even move nearly as much as this fan and such. So it definitely pushes a good amount of air without a question. So yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for more videos to come.